Welcome to the school of the kingdom, where we transform followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. Everybody say leadership. Say it again. Leadership is stewardship. Leadership is responsibility. And tonight, I am going to pastor your wallet, your wisdom, and your witness at the same time, because in the kingdom, giving is leadership. Write this down, please. Your generosity is not a random emotion. It is an executive decision. It is policy. It is governance. It is how a leader architects impact. When people talk about wealth, they normally think about money. I don't. Clap right there, somebody. Money is not wealth. Strategy is wealth. Wisdom is wealth. Ideas are wealth. Relationships are wealth. Your name, your reputation is wealth. Money is a tool. Strategy is a carpenter. Everybody say strategy. Say it again. If you put money in the hands of a fool, you have funded foolishness. If you put strategy in the hands of a believer, you have financed the future. Write this down, please. You are as poor as your strategies and as rich as your systems. Here is the hook that will catch your soul. You are never remembered for what you saved. You're remembered for what you gave. Say it again. You're never remembered for what you saved. You're remembered for what you gave. Your obituary is your community wealth statement. What did you build? Whom did you lift? What table did you set for strangers to become sons? That is why Proverbs 11:25 says, the generous soul shall be made rich. He who waters will himself be watered. God ties your increase to your irrigation. He entrusts more to those who can circulate value. Now anchor this in scripture so no one thinks this is motivation manipulation. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, but thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant. Not money power, not piles of cash capacity, not coins competence. The Hebrew concept there includes skill, strategy, the ability to produce. God gives power to get process. Wealth is a predictable harvest of a divinely inspired process. Write this down, please. Heaven does not wire money. Heaven wires wisdom. If you pray for cash, you are praying beneath your privilege. Ask for power. Ask for a plan. Ask for patterns that produce. I am reframing the room right now, because too many of us think that giving is a sentimental moment where a song is soft, a story is sad, and we react. No. In the kingdom, generosity is a strategic system, not a sentimental moment. Tell your neighbor, I am moving from moments to mechanisms. Say it again. This is why 2 Corinthians 9:10 declare, now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness. Notice the categories. Seed for sowing and bread for eating. Strategy separates what you sow from what you spend. Poor people confuse them. Wise leaders design them. Write this down, please. Giving is not guilt. It is intelligent capital allocation into kingdom outcomes with measurable harvests. That means every act of generosity should be assigned a purpose, a place, and a performance indicator. Where is this sowing going? What harvest is it designed to produce? How will I know it is working? This is not greed. This is governance. This is not pressure. This is planning. Don't let anyone make you feel spiritual for being sloppy. The Holy Spirit is the spirit of wisdom. He architects. He orders. He measures. The same God who counted stars counts your seed. So let me set the expectation clearly. This is not a fundraising talk. I am not here to get something from you. I am here to get something to you and through you. This is a systems class for influence and increase. We will not be tossing coins into a wishing well. We will be building pipelines that irrigate deserts. We will not be passing around buckets of guilt. We will be passing forward blueprints for generational capacity. Everybody say systems. Say it again. Your life changes when you move from impulse to infrastructure. Let me pastor your paradigm for a moment. Tithes were never meant to be an end. They are an entry. Offering was never meant to be a gamble. It is a governed allocation. Alms were never meant to be sporadic pity. They are targeted mercy that rehabilitates dignity. Write this down, please. In the kingdom, Every stream of giving has a strategy, and every strategy has a harvest. When Noah built the ark, he did not wait for the rain to draw the blueprint. Vision precedes provision. Planning precedes pouring. If you want God to entrust you with more, show him you can steward a plan. I want to release a daring sentence into your spirit. Generosity is intelligence. But doctor, no. Listen. Intelligence is the ability to discern patterns and make decisions that optimize outcomes. Kingdom generosity discerns God's patterns, seed time and harvest, honor and access, service and promotion, and allocates resources accordingly. Proverbs 3:9-10 says, honor the Lord with your substance and with the first fruits of all your increase. So shall your barns be filled with plenty and your vats overflow. Honor is a strategy that produces overflow. It's not about the container you give from, it's about the covenant you give into. Everybody put your hand on your head for a moment. Say, Lord, upgrade my operating system. That's what this series will do. We will move from random acts of kindness to a portfolio of impact. We will move from emotional tipping to intentional targeting. We will move from hoping for returns to managing returns. And may poverty never live in your house again. Clap right there, because that is a prophetic decree. Now, before we run ahead, allow me to address the fear that often sabotages strategy. What if I give and I don't see anything? The farmer never asks that. The farmer asks, what field, what season, what spacing, what rotation, what irrigation? Write this down, please. Fear counts the cost. Faith calculates the yield. Strategic givers are farmers of favor. They understand that seed has cycles, soil has science, and harvest has schedules. Galatians 6:9 says, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Due season is a governance term. It means there is timing built into truth. Don't abort your strategy because your feelings are impatient. Finally, hear my heart as a shepherd and a strategist. I want your spirit wealthy. I want your soul insightful. I want your body disciplined. I want your relationships trustworthy. I want your name clean. I want your community better because you lived. And I want your grandchildren to spend the harvest of your wisdom, not the residue of your impulses. That begins right here with a reframe. From tides to strategy. From moments to mechanisms. From guilt to governance. Everybody say system. Say it again. Because in this kingdom, generosity is a strategic system, not a sentimental moment. And when you master the system, you multiply the miracles. Now that your spirit is calibrated to systems, we must fix our vocabulary because words build worlds. If you misname a thing, you will mismanage it. Write this down, please. Definitions determine decisions, and decisions determine destinies. The first governance act in Eden was naming. Dominion follows definition. So tonight, we are resetting 3 words that have been abused in church, in culture, and in your budget. Money, riches, wealth. Poor people think about money. Rich people think about things. Wealthy people think about ideas and systems. That's the taxonomy. That's the diagnostic. That's why 2 people can earn the same salary and end their lives on 2 different continents of impact. Poor people count dollars and dream of more hours. Rich people count cars, clothes, and square footage. Wealthy people count patents, platforms, and pipelines. Everybody say ideas. Say it again. You are as poor as your ideas. You are as rich as your systems. Clap right there, because that sentence will relocate your future. Write this down, please. Money is pursued. Riches are accumulated. Wealth is created and multiplied. Money is pursued because it runs. It is a medium of exchange that keeps moving. When you chase money, it stays ahead of you and laughs at your fatigue. Riches are accumulated. They sit in garages, on risks, and in warehouses, depreciating silently while you pose. Wealth is created. It is birthed from ideas, engineered into systems, and multiplied through governance. A system is a set of principles, people, and processes that produce predictable outcomes without your constant presence. That is why I don't talk about money first. I talk about mechanisms. Because if you build the mechanism, the money must learn your address. Let me pass to your savings for a moment. Saving is not a sin. It is not foolish. It is simply incomplete. Write this down, please. Savings preserve. Strategy multiplies. Saving is storage. Giving is sowing. A barn preserves grain. A field multiplies seed. You need a barn to stabilize seasons, but you sow into fields to scale harvests. Most of us have been polishing our barns while our fields are empty. Storing is wisdom for famine. Sowing is wisdom for the future. Here is the sentence you must tattoo on your soul. You cannot harvest a vault. You harvest fields. So don't boast in your balance if there are no seeds in the ground. Balance without planting is just dignified fear. Jesus addressed this with precision. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Matthew 6:19-21. He did not forbid planning. He forbade parking. He did not condemn management. He condemned misplacement. Write this down, please. Strategic giving relocates capital into untouchable domains. When you invest into kingdom assignments, you convert perishable currency into incorruptible equity, favor you cannot buy, access you cannot negotiate, protection you cannot insure, and wisdom you cannot Google. Thieves cannot hack generosity that is stored in obedience. Moths cannot chew covenant. So how do we talk now? Stop asking, how much money can I keep? Start asking, what system can this seed create? What stream will this idea unlock? What relationships will this assignment activate? Poor people ask for raises. Rich people ask for receipts. Wealthy people ask for blueprints. Write this down, please. Use the right words so you can build the right world. If you keep calling your generosity a donation, you will treat it like a tip. If you rename it an allocation, you will demand a harvest. Language is governance. Let me make this practical with a parable from the boardroom. Two professionals receive $10,000. The first one places it in a savings account at 2% and feels secure. Security is a feeling. The second one divides it like a sower. They allocate a portion into a scholarship for high potential students in their industry, a portion into funding a local incubator that equips apprentices with tools, and a portion into supporting a trustworthy community project that solves a public pain point. 12 months later, what does each have? The saver has a modest increase and no new relationships, no new reputation, no new referrals. The sower has letters of gratitude from future leaders, invitations to speak inside organizations they once could not enter, a network of families who introduced them to decision makers, and a brand name associated with solutions. Which one has wealth? Everybody say systems. Say it again. Because relationships, reputation, and referrals are not accidents. They are harvests from intentional allocations. Write this down, please. Money is a servant. Systems are sovereign. If you send money without a system, it wanders. If you embed money in a system, it works while you sleep. That is why the wealthy study governance more than glamour. They design processes that protect principles. They put their treasure where their purpose is. Then their heart follows and builds a culture around it. Remember the words of Jesus. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Your heart chases placement. If you want a heart for the kingdom, place treasure in the kingdom. If you want a heart for the poor, place treasure among the poor. If you want a heart for innovation, place treasure in ideas that solve real problems. Tell your neighbor, rename it to reign over it. Say it again. Rename your dollars as soldiers. Send them on missions that matter. Rename your acts of giving as allocations. Attach them to outcomes. Rename your savings as stabilization, not multiplication. You stabilize to survive. You strategize to scale. And write this down, please. You are never remembered for what you stored. You are remembered for what you sowed. Your obituary will not list your balances. It will list your beneficiaries. It will say which deserts you irrigated, which doors you opened, which dangers you removed for those coming behind you. I bless your vocabulary tonight. May the Lord baptize your mind with ideas and your hands with systems. May you stop pursuing money and start producing wealth. May your barns be wise and your fields be full. May your treasure be relocated to realms moths cannot eat and thieves cannot reach. Everybody say ideas. Say it again. Because in this kingdom, wealth flows from ideas engineered into systems and aimed through generosity. Get the words right and you will get the world right. Now clap right there. Because this is the end of hoarding and the beginning of holy strategy. Lean in now because this is the hinge of the whole house. In the beginning was the Word. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. John 1:1, 14. The Greek term there is logos, expressed idea, not a random sound, an articulated concept. Write this down, please. Wealth begins as an idea that becomes flesh, a product, a platform, a partnership. Logos must put on a body to bless a city. An idea sitting in your notebook is a ghost. An idea in a bakery, a clinic, a code base, a school now it has flesh. Everybody say ideas. Say it again. In the kingdom, God does not ship furniture. He ships forests in the form of seeds. He does not drop coins. He deposits concepts. That is why I do not pray for money. I don't. I pray for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and divine ideas. James 1:5 says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. God answers with concepts, not coins. He sends patterns, not paychecks. Write this down, please. Money is the echo. Wisdom is the voice. If you chase the echo, it fades. If you pursue the voice, it keeps speaking. Solomon did not ask for silver. He asked for wisdom, and silver came looking for him. Proverbs 8:12 echoes, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. Wisdom births inventions, ideas with legs. But here, the governance principle, seed needs soil. God gives seed to the sower, not the storer. Write this down, please. Giving is where you plant ideas to meet people, problems, and places. Soil selection determines harvest. Your prayer room conceives the idea. Your generosity clinic chooses the maternity ward. If you sow your idea into poor soil gossip, greed, or grandstanding, it dies. If you sow into rich soil humility, need, and noble purpose, it multiplies. Tell your neighbor, choose your soil. Say it again. You don't just give anywhere. You aim your giving like a farmer aims a seed at a field that matches its genetics. Let me bridge the devotional and the boardroom. Prayer births ideas. Giving places those ideas where God's favor and human need meet. The Spirit whispers a concept for a literacy platform to your heart while you are on your knees. That is the altar. But where do you put it? You allocate a portion of your giving to fund after-school reading labs at a local church that has trust in the community, to outfit a bus with tablets that go into neighborhoods forgotten by city planners, and to underwrite teacher training for volunteers who will carry the culture. What happened? Your idea found bodies, volunteers, tablets, venues. Your giving chose soil, people, problems, places. Now watch the logos become flesh and dwell among them. And guess who they will invite to the school board meeting when grants are discussed? Men will give into your bosom. Luke 6:38 is not a verse about random cash drops. It is a governance law. Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. Write this down, please. The measure you use is the market you build. Your scale of sowing shapes the size of your network. Your standard of excellence in giving creates a standard of excellence in the gifts that return. If you give carelessly, you build a careless market, low trust, low access. If you give strategically, you build a strategic market, high trust, high access. God uses men relationships to return what you're giving engineered. Everybody say R&D. Say it again. Research and development. Clap right there. Generosity is R&D for influence. When you allocate funds to pilot a mentorship program, that is research. You learn the pains, the players, the politics. When you underwrite an internship pipeline into your industry, that is development. You are building prototypes, future leaders aligned with your values. Write this down, please. Giving reduces risk and increases fidelity. You de-risk ideas by testing them in the soil of service. You increase brand fidelity by showing up where it hurts with solutions that work. Then, when it's time for your idea to scale into a product, a platform, or a partnership, the community becomes your marketing department, and the gatekeepers become your advocates. Use my name, they will say. That is Luke 6, 38 inches of suit and tie. Let me make it tangible with a story. A young woman in our church saw a problem. Elderly neighbors missing medications because they lacked reminders and rides. In prayer, God gave her an idea, a simple scheduling app with volunteer integration. That's Logos. She did not run to a venture capitalist first. She sowed. She gave tablets to 2 senior centers, funded a part-time coordinator, and provided fuel stipends for volunteer drivers from 3 local congregations. In 90 days, missed dose incidents dropped by 40% in those centers. That's flesh. The local clinic called her in for data. The city council asked for a presentation. A logistics company offered server space. Men gave into her bosom because her giving had built a market and her idea had served a need. Write this down, please. Problems are doors. Generosity is the key. Ideas are the guests that walk through. Do not miss this. The soil you choose determines the species of harvest. Sow into education and you harvest thinkers and teachers who quote your name in rooms you cannot enter. Sow into justice and you harvest policies that protect your grandchildren. Sow into widows and orphans and you harvest a shield of mercy around your house that hell cannot penetrate. This is not sentiment. This is system. Galatians 6-7 says, whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. Sow ideas into aligned needs, and you reap infrastructure, influence, and increase. Write this down, please. A seed in the wrong soil is a funeral. A seed in the right soil is a future. Stop scattering seed on concrete and complaining about God. Ask the Spirit for topography. He knows where the thirsty ground is. He knows which pastor, which principal, which nonprofit is ready to steward. He knows which neighborhood watch captain has integrity. Pray, then place. Everybody say pray, then place. Say it again. Don't reverse it. If you place without prayer, you waste. If you pray without placing, you delay. Governance is the marriage of both. Put your hand on your head for a moment. Say, Lord, give me logos, ideas that can wear bodies. Now put your hand over your heart. Lord, give me love so I choose soil that serves people, not my ego. Now open your hands. Lord, give me strategy so I allocate with accuracy. May your mind become a womb for divine concepts. May your heart become a compass for righteous placement. May your hands become channels that never run dry. And may poverty never live in your house again. Before I close this movement, let me leave you a calibration sentence. Heaven funds purpose with patterns. You fund patterns with placement. The Lord will keep whispering designs, processes, technologies, school models, business frameworks. Your role is to take those blueprints and plant them where favor and need intersect. Then expect returns measured not just in currency, but in counselors, customers, and communities transformed. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. So will your ideas. If you give them bodies, if you choose their soil, if you trust the law, give, and it shall be given to you. With the measure you use, you shall build the market you steward. Now clap right there, somebody, because this is the revelation that turns prayer into production and concepts into countries. Now that you understand seeds and soil, let me show you the field map. Write this down, please. Generosity is a diversified portfolio across 7 spheres of wealth. Be wealthy in all 7, or you will be poor in the one you neglect. Everybody say portfolio. Say it again. A portfolio is intentional allocation, not accidental emotion. If you pour everything into one bucket and call it giving, you will brag about your sincerity and still be broke in outcomes. God desires alignment, not imbalance. 3 John 1-2 says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. Prosper, health, soul, alignment. When the spheres agree, outcomes compound. I want to give you 7 spheres of wealth. Write them down. Spiritual wealth, soul wealth, intellectual and emotional, physical wealth, health and strength, social wealth, relationships, influence, wealth, reputation and favor, community wealth, service and social infrastructure, and generational wealth, inheritance and governance. You must be wealthy in all 7 or you will be poor. Not because you don't love God, but because you misallocated. Luke 2:52 says, and Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. Wisdom, soul, stature, physical, favor with God, spiritual. Favor with man, social, and influence. Even Jesus grew across spheres. Tell your neighbor, balance is biblical. Say it again. Let's architect the portfolio. Spiritual wealth is your oxygen. This is your investment into intimacy with God and His purposes. Your giving here funds the altar that protects the enterprise. That means underwriting, prayer gatherings, chaplaincy for your teams, Bible distribution, discipleship training, retreats for renewal, counseling for burnout, harvest, clarity in crisis, clean consciences, unity in teams, supernatural wisdom. Write this down, please. When the altar is funded, the boardroom is guided. Don't expect Pentecost-level outcomes on a zero investment prayer budget. Soul wealth is intellectual and emotional development. I don't talk about money first, I talk about minds. Fund scholarships for staff and students in your value chain. Pay for certifications, books, language classes, counseling, and coaching. Create a reading stipend. Seed research grants for witty inventions. Proverbs 8:12, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions. Harvest better ideas, calmer teams, leaders who don't break under pressure, products that solve real problems. Write this down, please. Ideas are compounding assets. Invest in the factory of thought. Physical wealth is health. If your body breaks down, you are poor. Stop calling sickness spiritual warfare when some of it is poor stewardship. Allocate to health. Here's a case study you can implement on Monday. A gym membership for your staff is a giving line item in the physical sphere that protects productivity wealth. Underwrite annual physicals, nutrition workshops, filtered water stations, and walking meetings. Provide a small wellness mercy fund for preventative care. The harvest is lower sick days, higher energy, longer tenures, lower insurance claims. That is not expense. That is protection of capacity. Everybody say, protect the engine. Say it again. Social wealth is relationships. Most of the time, you don't need money. You need people with money. And you need people with integrity. Fund mentorship dinners, hospitality budgets, networking events with purpose, marriage enrichment for your key families, reconciliation processes. Support the people who connect people. Sow into peacemakers. Harvest, trust, access, introductions. Luke 6, 38 inches motion. Men will give into your bosom. Write this down, please. You are as poor as the friends you have. You are as wealthy as the friends you keep. Influence wealth is your reputation, your name. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Invest to keep your name clean and your excellence public. Fund ethics, training, quality audits, storytelling that dignifies people you serve, excellence awards for students or artisans who embody your values. Sponsor local forums where your team shares solutions, not slogans. Harvest, invitations, endorsements, use my name, moments that open votes without violence. Don't be famous, be trusted. Fame is noise, trust is currency. Community wealth is service that builds the commons. This is your social license to operate. Fund after-school labs, neighborhood cleanups with equipment that stays behind, micro grants to local leaders solving real pains, legal clinics for the vulnerable, safe transit for late shift workers. Make your buildings work 5 days a week for the city, not sleep like monuments. Write this down, please. You are never remembered for what you saved. You are remembered for what you gave to the place you lived. Harvest, safer streets, grateful councils, resilient neighborhoods, a brand married to solutions. Generational wealth is inheritance with governance, not just money mechanisms. Fund trusts, buy properties that cash flow, write family constitutions, train heirs in stewardship, seed endowments for scholarships that bear your family name long after you are gone. Proverbs 13:22 declares, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. If everything dies with you, you failed. Invest in structures that outlive your charisma. Harvest stability through storms. Grandchildren who start where you finished. Institutions that protect the poor in your name for 100 years. Now here is a sentence that will save your portfolio from vanity. Write this down, please. Allocate giving across spheres. Don't overinvest in buildings and underinvest in brains or bodies. Stop bragging about cathedrals while your teams are anxious, untrained, and unhealthy. Stop naming auditoriums after donors while your neighborhood can't read. Balance or you will be brilliantly broke. Every sphere needs three things: a sowing plan, a system, and a scorecard. Everybody say plan, system, scorecard. Say it again. A sowing plan answers where, when, and how much. Spiritual. Weekly intercession funded. Quarterly retreats for leaders. Annual Bible curriculum for youth. Soul. A per person learning budget. Quarterly book clubs with measurable projects. Physical. Gym memberships. Step challenges. Paid time for checkups. Social. Monthly mentorship circles. Quarterly hospitality nights. Conflict resolution training. Influence. Annual ethics audit. Media mentorship for emerging leaders. Excellence showcases. Community. 2 signature projects with clear problem statements and exit strategies. Generational legal structures executed. Heirs trained yearly. Endowment percent funded each quarter. A system answers who stewards it and how it repeats. Assign a leader for each sphere. Build processes, calendars, vendors, policies, feedback loops. Don't run on inspiration. Run on iteration. What you systemize will scale. What you celebrate will continue. A scorecard answers what harvest you are measuring. Spiritual. Hours covered in prayer. Stories of guidance. Staff retention during crises. Soul. Certifications earned. Inventions piloted. Employee satisfaction with mental health. Physical. Sick days reduced. Biometric improvements. Injury-free days. Social. Mentorship matches. Referrals received. Conflict closures. Influence. Reputation surveys. Invitations to decision tables. Policy citations of your work. Community. Crime reduction around your sites. Graduation rates in your zones. Jobs created. Generational. Trust-funded projects launched. Heirs certified in governance. Endowment growth rate. Write this down, please. Track the harvest so you can tune the sowing. If you won't measure it, don't pretend you steward it. And like any portfolio, you will rebalance. Seasons shift. If your community faces violence, you overweight community and social spheres for a time. If your team is burning out, overweight spiritual, soul, and physical. If your name has been attacked, double down on influence through integrity and excellence. Rebalance with prayer and data. Pray, then place. Place, then measure. Measure, then adjust. That is governance. Put your hand on your head. Say, Lord, give me wisdom to allocate. Put your hand on your heart. Give me love to balance. Open your hands. Give me courage to act. I bless your portfolio. May you prosper and be in health even as your soul prospers. May your spiritual altars stay burning. Your minds keep learning. Your bodies keep serving. Your relationships keep opening doors. Your name remain clean. Your community rejoice at your arrival. And your grandchildren spend what your wisdom designed. Everybody say portfolio. Say it again. Because in this kingdom, strategic giving is not a line item. It is a 7-sphere architecture where generosity compounds into access, trust, and treasure across generations. Now clap right there. Because imbalance is over and alignment has begun. Now that you understand ideas need bodies and bodies need soil, let me show you the irrigation system that keeps the field green. Everybody say relationships. Say it again. Your net worth often follows your network. That's not hype, that's harvest law. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. Write this down, please. Generosity polishes the name. When you invest strategically in people and problems, your name becomes a key. It opens doors your money could not buy. It buys time. It buys attention. It buys trust. Write this down, please. 3 compounding systems: relationships, acts, reputation, trust, referrals, deal, flow. That is your relational capital engine. Access puts you in the room. Trust keeps you in the room. Referrals extend the room without you being in it. Poor people try to buy entry tickets. Rich people try to buy trophies. Wealthy people cultivate relationships, protect their reputation, and architect referrals. Tell your neighbor, guard the engine. Say it again. If you protect the engine, the vehicle of your vision will run for generations. Design principle. Every gift should open a relationship, protect a reputation, or produce a referral, preferably all 3. That's how you turn giving into governance. That means you don't just hand money, you place seed with a purpose. Who will this connect me to? How does this investment reinforce what my name stands for? Which introductions should this generosity set in motion? Pray, then place. Ask the Spirit, which person, which gate, which table. Then place the seed where access, trust, and introductions can compound. Let me give you a practical map so you can run this tomorrow. Sponsor industry, scholarships, reputation. When your family funds 2 annual scholarships for underrepresented talent in your sector through a respected association, your name gets engraved next to excellence and equity. Schools call you. Employers thank you. Students become brand ambassadors. Host roundtables, relationships. Don't wait for conferences, design rooms, quarterly breakfasts where you gather principals, pastors, police captains, product managers, and policy makers around one community pain point you are funding solutions for. Listen more than you speak. Take minutes. Follow up. Partnerships are born at those tables. Honor referrers with impact reports, referrals. When someone opens a door for you, don't just say thank you. Show them what their introduction produced. Send a brief, beautiful 1-page impact report. What problem was solved? Who was served? How the dollars flowed? And what's next? That report is fertilizer for future introductions. Write this down, please. Gratitude extended becomes referral extended. Everybody say access. Say trust. Say introductions. These 3 must be measured. If your giving is not increasing, your invitations to meaningful rooms go back to prayer and placement. If your generosity is not reinforcing a clear, clean brand, what your name means in the market, adjust the soil. If your sowing is not producing consistent introductions from high-trust people, redesign the system. Proverbs 22:1 again, a good name is rather to be chosen. You must choose it. You build it. And generosity is one of your primary tools. Joseph understood this. Pharaoh took his signet ring and placed it on Joseph's hand and said, only in the throne will I be greater than you. Without your word, no one will lift hand or foot in all Egypt. Genesis 41-40, 44 paraphrase. That's influence capital, deployed to move resources at speed. When famine came, relationships moved grain faster than money could. Write this down, please. Use my name is the highest form of currency, and you earn that phrase by solving problems faithfully over time. When your name equals solution, doors don't open, they swing. Let me bring this into your house with a case from our own community. A young couple owns a small logistics firm. Instead of buying another vehicle first, they funded a certification cohort for 10 unemployed young adults to earn warehouse and safety credentials aligned with their industry. Reputation. The city workforce office noticed and invited them to sit on an advisory board. Relationship. 2 months later, a national supplier needed a regional subcontractor and asked the board for recommendations. 3 members said, use my name, call them, referrals. Did you see the engine fire? One strategic gift opened a table, protected a clean brand, and triggered introductions that became contracts. Clap right there, because that is kingdom arithmetic. Write this down, please. Never give anonymously where your assignment requires visibility, and never seek visibility where the recipient requires anonymity. That is governance. Some soil needs your brand to signal safety and standard. Other soil needs your quiet to protect dignity. Wisdom discerns which one produces access, trust, and introductions aligned with your purpose. Pray, then place. Here is a simple weekly rhythm to keep the engine oiled. On Mondays, write 2 handwritten notes to people you admire for their stewardship, not their status. No ask, just honor. That's reputation sowing. On Wednesdays, host a micro roundtable, 5 people, 1 hour, 1 problem. That's relationship sowing. On Fridays, send impact snapshots to everyone who made an introduction that week. Include a testimony, a number, and a next step. That's referral sowing. Do this for 90 days and tell me if your calendar, your calls, and your contracts don't change. Remember Luke 6:38, shall man give into your bosom? Men, not angels. God uses people. So align your giving to serve the people who serve the purpose. Fund the pain points of gatekeepers, tools for teachers, rest for caregivers, data for council members, clarity for pastors, internships for HR managers. When you remove pain, you purchase permission. When you sustain solutions, you secure sponsorship. Write this down, please. Solve a problem once, you earn thanks. Solve it repeatedly, you earn trust. Teach others to solve it, you earn territory. That is the progression of influence. Tell your neighbor, my name is becoming a door. Say it again. Put your hand on your chest and declare, my seed is polishing my signature. May your generosity rewrite what your name evokes in rooms you have not yet entered. May God give you divine introductions. Use my name. Moments that compress timelines. May your house become a hub of honorable referrals. May every gift you place open a relationship, protect your reputation, and produce a referral, preferably all 3. And may poverty never live in your house again. Because when access, trust, and introductions compound, scarcity has no oxygen. Now clap right there, somebody, because this is the chapter where your giving starts building gates and your name starts carrying grain. We have a portfolio. Now we must plumb it. Channels matter. Names matter. Write this down, please. Name each giving stream by the harvest it is designed to produce. If it doesn't have a name, it will have no aim. Everybody say allocations. Say it again. The kingdom already gave us 3 classical channels, tithes, offerings, and alms. And I am adding one more that wise stewards have always used, though they rarely sanctify with language: investments. I don't separate sacred from secular. I separate waste from stewardship. If it multiplies purpose, it's holy. If it burns value, it's profane. Let's anchor this in Scripture so your conscience is strong. Malachi 3:10-11. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. The tithe does 2 things. It funds God's house, and it rebukes what eats your harvest. Write this down, please. Tithe equals protection and foundation. It is covenant maintenance, not philanthropy. It is not a tip. It is a treaty. It establishes jurisdiction over your increase and places you under windows, not under ceilings. The tithe does not make you generous. It makes you safe enough to be generous. Now, offerings. 2 Corinthians 9:6-8. He which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. And he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. God loves a cheerful giver, and God is able to make all grace abound toward you. Offerings determine the measure, not the covenant, the measure. Write this down, please. Offerings equal multiplication and innovation. This is where you fund ideas. This is where you underwrite pilots, prototypes, programs, and platforms. This is where you say, let us test a new way to solve an old pain. Offerings absorb innovation risk. If you only tithe and never offer, you will be protected but never prolific. You will be safe and small. Alms. Proverbs 19:17, he that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. Alms are mercy. Mercy to the vulnerable. Mercy to the wounded. Write this down, please. Alms equal credibility and covering. When you give to the poor, you make a loan to the only borrower who never defaults. And on earth, you build social credibility, a reputation of compassion that hedges reputational risk. When storms come and rumors rise, the city will say, leave them alone. They fed our widows. They tutored our children. But they kept our lights on when the hurricane came. Alms build the shield that money cannot buy. That is not public relations. That is righteousness. Finally, investments. The Bible assumes production. Jesus commanded multiplication in the parable of the talents and judged the servant who buried the asset. Write this down, please. Investments equal production and expansion. Impact investments are allocations into enterprises and instruments that align with kingdom ethics and produce cash flow, jobs, and solutions. This is where your generosity puts on boots and builds factories of blessing. Loans to small businesses with integrity. Equity in clean water systems. Notes in community development funds. Equipment leasing for artisans who lack collateral. This is the engine room. Investments scale production risk because they force diligence, governance, and due process. Here is the whole model in one sentence. Write this down, please. Each channel targets a harvest, tithe, protection, foundation, offerings, multiplication, innovation, alms, mercy, credibility, investments, production, expansion. Tell your neighbor, aim your giving. Say it again. This is not random kindness. This is engineered compassion. Let me give you a starting allocation so you can move from inspiration to institution. This is a model, not a mandate. Start with 10% tithe to your storehouse, non-negotiable. Then 10% offerings dedicated to ideas and innovation pilots, R&D in ministry and marketplace, scholarships tied to your mission. Then 5% alms mercy to the poor, widows, orphans, disaster relief, rent relief with accountability, grocery cards delivered with dignity. Then 10% impact investments, capital, into vehicles that produce measurable social and financial returns consistent with kingdom ethics. The remaining 65% for operating and growth, your household or organizational engine, debt reduction, reserves and scaling, adjust to season and calling, but keep the categories clear. Write this down, please. Clarity is currency. Why this structure? Because each stream manages a different risk. Offerings test innovation risk you learn cheaply before you scale expensively. Alms hedge reputational risk. You build goodwill that keeps doors open when mistakes happen. Impact investments, scale production, risk. You professionalize diligence and cash flow so generosity can sustain itself. Tithes, mitigate, devour risk. You anchor the covenants so the teeth that eat harvests are blunted. Everybody say risk. Say it again. Wise stewards price risk before they pursue return. Now the mechanics. Automate your conviction. Don't trust your moods with your mission. Set up 4 buckets in your accounting. Label them by harvest, protection teeth, multiplication offerings, mercy, alms, production investments. Every deposit auto routes to each bucket by percentage on day 1. No drama at month's end. Write this down, please. Discipline beats emotion. Systems beat seasons. Luke 16:10 says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. Start with discipline, not drama. If your income is $1,000, be faithful with $100. If it's $10, be faithful with $1. God promotes managers, not manipulators. Let me show you a model in motion. A young founder and her husband sat in my office. Revenue, erratic. Team, exhausted. Reputation, good, but invisible. We built 4 buckets. Month 1, they tied 10% to their local church storehouse that had discipled them. They allocated 10% offerings to run a 3-month apprenticeship for 2 teens from a nearby high school to learn coding through their firm. They set aside 5% alms to quietly cover insulin for an elderly neighbor and to fund grocery cards through a trusted deacon. They placed 10% into an impact note with a community lender that financed refrigerated vans for local farmers aligned with their values of healthy food access. 65% ran the operation with a rule: cut glamour, not engines. What happened in 6 months? The devourer was rebuked. Unexpected equipment failures dropped. A key client extended their contract without negotiation. The apprentices built a small tool that saved the firm 40 hours a month. Innovation returned. A city council member learned of their arms through the neighbor's pastor and called them to join a task force. Credibility returned. The impact note paid interest and sent them quarterly stories of jobs created, production returned, plus joy. None of this is magic. All of this is management. Write this down, please. When you route the river, you predict the lake. I can feel the pushback. Doc, what if my season is tight? Then start small, but start structured. If all you can do is 10% tithe and 1% offerings, do it. If alms is a meal a week to a widow, do it. If investments are $25 a month into a microloan platform with due diligence, do it. Be faithful in little. Faithfulness is the key that turns the lock called more. Don't wait for abundance to build allocation. Allocation attracts abundance. Clap right there, somebody. I don't separate sacred from secular. I separate waste from stewardship. A contract with clean terms is as sacred as a hymn if it protects people and multiplies purpose. A well-governed fund that finances honest work is as holy as an altar call if it lifts families out of cycles. Your bank account is an usher. Your budget is a liturgy. Your allocations are worship with decimals. So here is your action. Tonight, write 4 headings on paper and in your accounting software. Tithe protection, offerings multiplication, alms mercy, investments production. Under each list, 3-5 targets that match your calling. Assign percentages. Automate on day 1 of every month. Review quarterly with prayer and data. Rebalance when seasons shift. And speak over it. Luke 6:38 and Malachi 3. Pray, then place, then measure, measure, then adjust. Put your hand on your head. Say, Lord, give me discipline to divide. Put your hand on your heart. Give me compassion to cover. Open your hands. Give me wisdom to multiply. I bless your allocations. May the windows stay open over your house. May the measure of your offerings match the magnitude of your assignment. May your mercy build a name that cannot be slandered. May your investments create jobs your grandchildren will inherit. Everybody say allocations. Say it again. Because in this kingdom, when you name the stream, you command the harvest. Now clap right there. Confusion is over and stewardship has begun. Everybody lean in. What you don't measure, you only mean. Good intentions are not systems. Write this down, please. Track the harvest so you can tune the sowing. Proverbs 27:23 says, be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds. That is measurement. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. That's a dashboard. Everybody say dashboard. Say it again. We are not guessing anymore. We are governing. Luke 6:38, it's not random kindness, it is a law. Laws can be measured. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Shall men give into your bosom. If men are part of the return, then people metrics belong on your generosity dashboard. Write this down, please. Generosity, KPIs, introductions created, reputation scores, referral velocity, testimony generated, doors open, ideas funded to MVP, lives tangibly uplifted. Let me give you handles. Introductions created. Count the warm, qualified introductions. Your giving generated this month. Who connected you? To whom? For what? Reputation scores. Use simple brand trust surveys, an NPS-style question for partners, staff, gatekeepers. How likely are you to advocate for our name? Reputation is a number before it becomes a rumor. Referral velocity. How fast do introductions convert to meetings and meetings to partnerships? Track days, not decades. Testimonies generated. Document stories where your seed solved a problem. Who was helped? What changed? Where and when? Doors open. Identify rooms. Your name entered. Boards, council briefings, school committees, industry task forces, and the permissions granted. Ideas funded to MVP. How many concepts move from prayer to prototype because you place seed in the right soil? Lives tangibly uplifted. Count real outcomes. Students reading at grade level. Families housed. Jobs created. Recidivism reduced. Patients served. This is not vanity. This is stewardship. 1 Corinthians 4:2 declares, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. Faithful people keep records. Now let me speak to my business leaders in the room. Everybody say translation. Say it again. Kingdom generosity reduces costs in the marketplace. Got customer acquisition cost goes down when your referrals go up. If 60% of your new clients arrive through trusted introductions born from your giving, your marketing spend compresses and your margins breathe. LTV, lifetime value, increases when trust is high. A good name sustains repeat engagement. Your attrition drops. Your basket size grows. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. A trusted name is a profit center. Cost of capital lowers when your reputation is clean. Banks price for risk. Reputation reduces perceived risk. When your quarterly impact reports are on a banker's desk, and a city official can say, use my name, they deliver. Interest points shave, terms extend, covenants soften. Write this down, please. Mercy creates efficiency. Trust creates velocity. Reputation creates cheaper money. That is why we measure so we can multiply. Let me give you 2 tools to start tonight. First, the giving thesis. Before you sow $1, write the thesis. Who we serve. Why now? What problem are we solving? And in which sphere? Expected harvest, relationships to open. Reputation to reinforce. Referrals to trigger. Souls to lift. Ideas to body forth. Define success windows 30, 90, and 365 days. Clarify the budget, the steward, and the exit or handoff plan. If you cannot write a thesis, you are not ready to sow. That is Habakkuk 2 governance. Make it plain so the team can run. Second, the impact ledger. 4 fields. Seed, soil, season, supply. Seed, what did we give? Exactly. Soil, who received it and why we chose them. Season, timing, and context, including the pain point we aimed at. Supply, what came back into the system. Introductions, trust signatures, referral chains, testimonies, MVPs, lives lifted, updated monthly. If you want to add 2 more fields, add sprout early signs within 30 days and stalk structural outcomes within a quarter. But start with seed, soil, season, supply. Everybody say ledger. Say it again. Rhythm is where dashboards live. Monthly, hold a generosity review. 1 hour. Pray, then read. What were the introductions? Which testimonies were born? What doors opened? Which ideas reached MVP? Where did we see lives lifted? What did not move and why? Assign follow-ups. Convert introductions into calendars. Convert testimonies into training. Convert doors into decisions. Quarterly, publish an impact report. Not to boast, to align. Matthew 6:3 warns about giving to be seen by men. So your posture is humility. Your purpose is accountability. Share numbers and narratives with your board, your bank, your team, and key partners. List KPIs, lessons learned, rebalancing decisions, and prayer points. Add 1 page of next quarter plays so people can partner. Annually, reallocate by harvest data. Which soils yielded multiplied returns? Double there. Which spheres starved? Feed them. Which projects were beautiful but barren? Exit with honor. Which partners proved faithful? Increase their capacity. Write this down, please. Data is a servant. The Spirit is the Lord. We do not worship metrics. We use them to tune obedience. Let me show you a picture with a quick case. A family business funded apprenticeships for 10 students in a troubled district. Giving thesis. Serve underemployed youth. Why? Now violence spike. Expected harvest. 5 introductions to plant managers. Brand trust, lift with counsel. 3 referrals to new accounts. 10 lives trained. Impact ledger after 90 days. Seed stipends. Tools. Mentors. Soil. 2 schools and 1 nonprofit. Season. Summer break. Supply 7 qualified introductions. NPS among gatekeepers up from 54 to 78. Referral velocity at 21 days to first meeting. 2 MVP process improvements proposed by apprentices. 8 students placed into full-time roles. Financial tie-in. CAC in that region dropped by 38% due to referrals. LTV on those accounts projected up 25%. Bank renewed line at 1. 25% lower after reviewing quarterly impact report co-signed by the council. That is mercy measured. That is generosity compounding. Write this down, please. Measure to multiply, not to boast. God counts. In Acts 2, the Spirit fell and they counted about 3,000 were added. In Matthew 25, the master returned and required a reckoning. You cannot multiply what you refuse to measure. Tell your neighbor, my dashboard is my discipline. Say it again. If you are allergic to accountability, you will be anointed and ineffective. If you love measurement, you will be guided and fruitful. Here is how we activate. Appoint a stewardship officer for generosity, someone who loves prayer and spreadsheets. Build a 1-page dashboard that lists the KPIs we named. Schedule your monthly review, your quarterly impact report, and your annual reallocation retreat today. Create your giving thesis template. Draft your impact ledger with seed, soil, season, supply. And commit to this blessing posture. Every number is a seed story. Every report is an altar of thanksgiving. We do not flaunt. We steward. Put your hand on your head and say, Lord, give me wisdom to measure. Put your hand on your heart. Give me humility to learn. Open your hands. Give me courage to adjust. I bless your dashboard. May your introductions increase. Your reputation be chosen over riches. Your referrals accelerate. Your testimonies multiply. Your doors swing wide. Your ideas wear bodies. And lives be lifted because you governed your giving. May your CAC collapse under the weight of favor. May your LTV rise with trust. And may your cost of capital descend as your name ascends in integrity. Track the harvest so you can tune the sowing. Say it again. Track the harvest so you can tune the sowing. Now clap right there. Because this is where your mercy becomes measurable and your generosity turns into a system God can multiply. Proof beats opinion. Let me bring witnesses to the stand. Everybody say models. Say it again. The kingdom never asks you to leap in the dark. It asks you to walk in the light of examples. Write this down, please. Strategic generosity converts ideas into influence and infrastructure, not hype. Harvest law under favor. Joseph first. Genesis 41 records a crisis called famine and a dream looking for an interpreter. Joseph did not give Pharaoh money. He gave a system. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners. Take 1/5 of the harvest during the 7 years of abundance. Store the grain to be used during the 7 years of famine. Genesis 41 to 34, 36 paraphrased. That was a 20% allocation model. He sold a governance idea into a starving future. That is generosity. He gave a nation a plan when they had panic. Write this down, please. His giving was a solution that fed strangers. What was the return? Influence and infrastructure. Pharaoh took his signet ring and put it on Joseph's finger. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. Genesis 41 to 42. Relationship capital moved resources faster than currency. When the famine hit, they didn't ask for money, they asked for Joseph. Men said, go to Joseph. What he says to you, do. Genesis 41 to 55. That's Luke 6:38 inches motion. Shall men give into your bosom? Men with barns, men with keys, men with carts. Tell your neighbor, my idea is looking for a throne. Say it again. Joseph's generosity, sharing a strategy, purchased national influence, and built storage infrastructure that outlived the storm. Write this down, please. Generosity turns private ideas into public platforms. Isaac, next. Genesis 26 opens with famine again. God says, sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee and will bless thee. Genesis 26 to 3. Isaac did not chase better weather. He sowed where God said. Verse 12 shouts, then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold. And the Lord blessed him. Everybody say in that land. Say it again. Obedience is location specific. His generosity looked like seed in a difficult season and wells in disputed territory. He reopened his father's wells, heritage, infrastructure, and then dug new ones. Esek, Contench, Sitna, Aposan, until Rehoboth. For now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. Genesis 26-22. Wells were not souvenirs. Wells were systems, water for people, herds, and crops capacity that sustains a city. When your sowing births infrastructure, even enemies negotiate. Then Abimelech went to him. We saw certainly that the Lord was with thee. Let there now be an oath betwixt us. Genesis 26-26-28. Write this down, please. Generosity plus obedience creates visibility, and visibility draws treaties. Isaac's harvest was not just grain, it was governance at the gate. He turned seed into water rights, and water rights into regional agreements. Not a miracle of money, a miracle of management under favor. Clap right there. Now let me take you to our block. We call her the cookie woman. One idea in an old notebook from her grandmother. She was not trying to be famous. She was trying to be faithful. She prayed like Solomon for wisdom, not things. She tithed on her first batch. Sold at the church fair 10% of $10. Don't laugh. God watches scales. She offered out of the second batch, donated 2 dozen to the after-school program that fed latchkey kids. She kept arms aside grocery cards for a single mother who worked nights. And then she did something most people don't. She invested. A small impact note to a shared commercial kitchen so multiple micro bakers could rent space by the hour. Her product fed people. Her people fed the brand. And her brand fed generations. Write this down, please. Your product is a table, but your generosity is the invitation. Systems? She set 4 buckets, just like I taught you. Protection, multiplication, mercy, production. Monday mornings, she baked with 2 teenagers from the neighborhood, paid apprenticeships, funded from her offerings. Fridays, she sent impact snapshots to the school principal and the grocer who let her test on consignment. Here's how your shelf space became scholarship hours. Gratitude became referrals. In 12 months, her name meant excellence and empathy. The city's health inspector, tough man, smiled in her kitchen because her arms had quietly covered insulin for his aunt. Reputation became shield. A regional airline tasted her lemon ginger and called for a pilot run. She hired 3 mothers, part-time jobs that fit school hours. Her son, who once rolled his eyes at everything, designed packaging after school and learned invoicing. The others became a factory of dignity. She didn't chase money. She chased management. And money chased her. Everybody say ideas. Say systems. Say generosity. That is a family brand feeding the future. Write this down, please. Don't hoard recipe cards. Multiply kitchens. Infrastructure is how generosity scales. Isaac dug wells. Joseph built silos. The cookie woman funded a shared kitchen. You see the pattern? Strategic sowing constructs public capacity, and capacity attracts covenants. Now a modern move that will make your head tilt, but your phone ring. Sponsor your competitors' apprenticeships. I can hear somebody say, Doc, that's crazy. I don't think about money. I think about ecosystems. Pick 5 small firms in your sector who do honest work but lack pipeline. Fund a cohort of apprentices across all 6 companies. Classroom, on Saturdays, shadow days, midweek, stipends, safety certifications. Brand the program with your values, not your ego. Publish the curriculum. Share the best practices. What are you doing? You are sowing into the industry's infrastructure. You are removing a pain point for gatekeepers' talent. You are polishing your name. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Proverbs 22:1. And when big contracts ask who can scale, the rule says use their name. They train half of us. That's referrals you didn't ask for. That's influence you didn't buy. That's Joseph without Pharaoh. That's Isaac without fighting at Esek. Write this down, please. Build the environment, and the environment builds you. Some of you are still waiting for angels to write checks. Luke 6:38 said, shall men give? Men, women, boards, buyers, bankers, pastors, principals. When you fund solutions at the pain points of people, they fund your speed. Joseph gave a famine strategy. Pharaoh gave a signet ring. Isaac gave seed and wells. Abimelech gave a treaty. The cookie woman gave jobs and joy. The market gave distribution. These are not accidents. They are architectures. Everybody say proof. Say it again. These are not miracles of money. These are miracles of management under favor. Favor is the wind. Management is the sail. Write this down, please. Generosity turns private ideas into public platforms, and platforms carry generations. So I speak over you. May your idea find its pharaoh, a decision maker whose ring advances your stewardship. May your wells be named Rehoboth, room made, right secured, flow sustained. May your oven become a certified kitchen, then a warehouse, then a training center for children's children. May your name be a key and your gift be a gate. Clap right there, somebody. Because this is the proof. You need a strategic generosity, converts ideas into influence and infrastructure, and this is the end of random giving and the beginning of engineered impact. Now we put a clock on your compassion. We put dates on your destiny. Everybody say calendar. Say it again. A calendar is a covenant plan you're giving to predict your growth. Write this down, please. Schedule your sowing, or scarcity will schedule you. Ecclesiastes 11:4 warns, he that observeth the wind shall not sow. So we're not waiting on weather. We're working a plan. 12 weeks, founders and families together. Prayer first, then paper, then people, then production. Week 1 and 2, wisdom and the thesis. James 1-5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously. Put your hand on your head and pray out loud every morning. Lord, give me wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and divine ideas. 30 minutes of prayer, 15 minutes of reading the word, 10 minutes of quiet listening with a pen. Then draft your giving thesis. Who are we sent to? Where will we sow? What harvest are we targeting? Relationships open, reputation strengthened, referrals triggered, lives lifted. Name the sphere. Education, health, entrepreneurship, family, arts, justice, or church infrastructure. Choose your lanes. Set your allocations for the quarter. Tithe stays non-negotiable. Offerings for innovation, alms for mercy, investments for production. Automate the buckets on day 1 of the month. Habakkuk, do-a-doer, write it plain. 1 page. Who, where, what harvest, how much, who stewards it, 30, 90, 365, day, success, windows. Everybody say thesis. Say it again. Week 3 and 4. Map the 3 systems. Relationships, reputation, referrals. Proverbs 18:24 says, a man who has friends must himself be friendly. So, draw your relationship map. 50 names across 7 spheres. Pastors, principals, plant managers, precinct captains, philanthropists, press, and parents. Circle 5, men of peace in Luke, 10 terms. People of credibility who open doors. Reputation, inventory. Next, what testimonies do you already possess? What promises have you kept? What standards do you publish? Write this down, please. A reputation is a policy you renew daily. Finally, referral pathways. Clarify how introductions move. Who will make the ask? What is the ask? Practice the language. Would you be willing to introduce us to 2 gatekeepers who share this mission? May we use your name. Joseph did not meet Pharaoh on his own. Relationship lifted him. Assign gifts to trigger each lever. For relationships, host a thank you lunch for your 5 men of peace. For reputation, sponsor a small certification for your team to raise standards. For referrals, prepare a 1-page brief people can forward with the introduction. Calendar the touches. Tuesday breakfast for relationships. Thursday post with a testimony for reputation. Friday 2 phone calls requesting referrals. Discipline beats emotion. Systems beat seasons. Week 5 and 6, pilot offerings into innovation. Offerings fund experiments. Choose 2 pilots, 1 in ministry, 1 in marketplace if you can, for families. A 3-month scholarship for 2 apprentices. A micro grant for a neighborhood teacher to run a reading lab. For founders, a process prototype to reduce waste. An MVP for a service that lifts your client's dignity. Define the MVP with clarity. Write this down, please. No milestone, no money. Put dates. Day 10, design complete. Day 21, first test. Day 30, report with learnings. Resource mentors, tools, and time. 2 Corinthians 9:6 says, he who sows bountifully shall reap bountifully. Sow into ideas, not into noise. Monitor with your impact ledger fields, seed, soil, season, supply. Expect sprout signals by day 21 times. Save. A class launched. A prototype used by 3 people. Everybody say pilot. Say it again. You cannot multiply what you refuse to test. Week 7 and 8. An alms campaign with dignity. Proverbs 19:17 declares, he that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. Identify a specific pain point. Food insecurity among seniors. Uniforms for students. Toolkits for returning citizens. Partner with a trusted, accountable local steward, church deacon boards, credible nonprofits, school counselors. Deliver mercy with excellence and privacy. Matthew 6:3 says, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Capture stories, ethically consent first. Names optional. Honor always. No exploitation for likes. Tell outcomes, not sob stories. 40 families received a week of groceries. 12 seniors received instant support with nursing check-ins. Assign your team to follow up care phone calls, prayer, guidance or services. Write this down, please. Alms create credibility that money cannot buy. Measure what you served and whom it protected. Your name becomes a shelter in the storm. Week 9 and 10, convene a generosity roundtable. Proverbs 11:14, in the multitude of counselors there is safety. Host a 90-minute table. Invite your pastor, a school leader, a small business owner, a banker, a city official, a nonprofit director, and 2 elders who carry integrity. Open with prayer. Present a 1-page snapshot of your giving thesis and your quarter-to-date impact ledger. Share 3 wins and 2 lessons. Then ask specifically, we are seeking 5 introductions to gatekeepers in these spheres. Would you allow us to use your name? Everybody say, use my name. Say it again. That is what Jesus told the disciples in prayer. Ask in my name. Influence works the same way in the marketplace. Authority is borrowed through trust. Close the meeting with a commitment circle. Each person writes 2 introductions they will make within 7 days. Give them the forwarding brief and the comfort language to make the ask easy. Follow up within 48 hours. Record introductions on your dashboard. Convert introductions into calendars. Week 11 and 12. Prune and publish. John 15:2 says, every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Sit down with your dashboard. What seeds did not sprout? Prune them, exit with honor. What soils compounded quickly? Relationships opened, reputation lifted, referrals accelerated. Double there. Increase allocation to compounding soils. Close pilots that met MVP, and either scale or shelve. No zombies in your portfolio. Publish a 2-page impact note to stakeholders, your board, your banker, your partners, and your family. 1-page numbers, introductions created, doors opened, MVPs launched, lives lifted, CAC movement, LTV projections, cost of capital shifts. 1-page narratives, 2 testimonies with dignity, and a list of next quarter plays with dates. Thank God publicly. Thank people privately. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Commit it again on paper with signatures. Then set the next one, 2-week covenant. Write this down, please. A calendar is a covenant. Meetings are altars. Agendas are liturgies. Block the time now. Monday 7 a.m. prayer and thesis review. Tuesday 12 p.m. relationship lunches. Thursday 8 a.m. reputation standards update. Friday 10 a.m. referral calls. Day 21 pilot check-in. Week 8 arms distribution. Week 10, round table. Week 12, dashboard, pruning, and impact note. Don't negotiate with the calendar once it is consecrated. Isaac sowed in the land during famine and reaped 100-fold the same year. Genesis 26-12. Same year. When? In the calendar. Tell your neighbor, my schedule is my steward. Say it again. If you miss a day, don't quit. Realign. If someone cancels, replace them. If a door closes, knock on 2 more. You are not chasing money. You are cultivating ideas and relationships under the government of God. You are not hoarding. You are allocating. You are not guessing. You are governing. Put your right hand on your head. Lord, give me wisdom to plan. Put your hand on your heart. Give me compassion to serve. Open both hands. Give me courage to ask and discipline to execute. I bless your 1-2 week sprint. May introductions flow like rivers. May your reputation be chosen above riches. May referrals run faster than your ads. May your pilots birth products. May your arms protect your name. May your round table become a council of favor. May your pruning bring more fruit. And may your impact note open new doors in high places. May poverty never live in your house again. Everybody say calendar. Say it again. Now clap right there. Your generosity just moved from prayer to production, from inspiration to institution, from hope to a holy plan. Everybody say structure. Say it again. Structure is not a cage. Structure is a runway. Let all things be done decently and in order. 1 Corinthians 14:40. We have shown you dashboards and models. Now we must give the ideas legal bones, financial tendons, and ethical skin. Write this down, please. Structure your generosity so it can scale without scandal. Heaven honors order. Hell exploits chaos. We are going to be safe, scalable, and sanctified in our giving. Let me begin with vehicles. The container determines the capacity. Choose by purpose and tax strategy, not by trend. Don't advise funds. Everybody say DAFs are speedboats. You contribute today, receive the deduction, and recommend grants on your timetable. They're excellent for families who want to move quickly, remain discreet, and build a rhythm of sowing without starting a full foundation. Corporate foundations are platforms. They carry your company's name with governance around it, board oversight, clear mission, separate books, documented grants. They let you run programs, issue RFPs, and partner with cities without confusing it with sales. Impact SPVs, special purpose vehicles, are ring-fence investment buckets for for-profit impact. Loans to the bakery that hires at-risk youth. Revenue shares with the coding school. Convertible notes in clean water tech. You contain risk, invite co-investors, and recycle returns into new seed. Scholarships are precision tools. Endow them with criteria. Build a selection committee with conflict of interest rules, and publish outcomes, graduates, certifications, placements. Community trusts are neighborhood vaults. You pool resources with pastors, principals, and proven leaders. You fund parks, clinics, kitchens, and apprenticeships with local governors so the city can say, use their name. They deliver. Tell your neighbor, my seed needs a vehicle. Say it again. Now policies. Write this down, please. Protect the name you are building. Proverbs 22:1. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. 3 anchors: conflict of interest, due diligence, and gift acceptance. Conflict of interest. Every board member and steward signs annual disclosures. When their company or cousin is in the grant queue, they recuse. Record it in minutes. Integrity is documented, not assumed. Due diligence. Create a checklist. Verify the grantee's legal status. Review financials. Check references. Examine leadership bios. Confirm safeguarding policies if children are involved. And align outcomes with your spheres. Never outsource your conscience. Gift acceptance. Decide in writing what you will receive and what you will not. No anonymous cash in envelopes. No restricted gifts that distort the mission. Clarify how you handle non-cash gifts, valuation, liquidation, or in-kind use. Put a ceiling for what staff can accept personally, 0 with a smile. Provide for honest things, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. 2 Corinthians 8:21. Everybody say guardrails. Say it again. Write this down, please. Separate mercy budget from marketing budget, but let the story cross-pollinate ethically. Mercy is worship. Marketing is strategy. Do not make widows perform for your brand. Mercy dollars are never tied to sales targets or lead generation. That is alms. Keep it holy. But testimonies are lamps. Matthew 5:16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. So tell stories with consent, dignity, and credit to partners. No poverty porn, no exaggeration. Set a story, protocol written releases, privacy safeguarding, accurate data. Marketing may share the fruit. Mercy must not be the farm for manipulation. Excellence is evangelism to the boardroom. When you handle stories with reverence, gatekeepers trust your numbers. Let me architect your risk tiers. If you don't classify risk, you will misjudge harvest. 4 buckets. Mercy, low financial return, high reputational, and kingdom return. This is alms, relief, benevolence. Allocate a fixed percentage, say 10 to 20%, and decide speed over scrutiny because hunger doesn't wait. Innovation, high variance, high learning, pilot programs, prototypes, new partners. Treat this like R&D set hypothesis, budget caps, checkpoints, and kill criteria. Expect some to fail brilliantly and teach you. Allocate 10 to 15%. Infrastructure, steady compounding. Wells, kitchens, apprenticeships, clinics, digital platforms, systems that reduce friction over years. Allocate the lion's share 40 to 60% because systems carry generations. Legacy endowment, perpetual. This is your children's children fund, Proverbs 13:22. Invest principal, spend earnings per policy, and protect corpus with iron rules. Allocate 15 to 25% as capacity grows. Everybody say portfolio. Say tiers. Now write this down, please. We don't gamble with mercy. We don't starve innovation. We don't neglect infrastructure. And we don't raid the endowment. Reporting must be holy. Faith with works. James 2:17 says, faith without works is dead. So produce audited impact statements, souls, and stats together. Financial audit to verify dollars. Impact audit to verify outcomes. Independent reviewers confirmed the KPIs we taught. Introductions created, reputation scores, referral velocity, MVPs launched, lives lifted, plus spiritual and social fruit baptisms, literacy gains, jobs created, recidivism reduced. Publish a concise annual report. Where money went, what moved, what didn't, what you learned, what you will do next. Attach letters from partners and third-party verifications. This is not to boast. It is to remove accusation. Paul said, we arrange our gifts that no man should blame us in this abundance. 2 Corinthians 8:20. Integrity breathes when sunlight shines. A few mechanics that keep wolves out of the barn. Dual control on disbursements. No single point of failure. 2 signatures for grants. Separation of duties between request, approval, and release. Grant agreements with milestones, reporting schedules, and clawback clauses for fraud or mission drift. A risk register, reviewed quarterly top 5 risks, mitigation plans, owners, and dates. A whistleblower channel to report concerns without fear. Document minutes, archive receipts. Update your authorized signers when roles change. Small leaks sink big ships. Small controls stop big scandals. Luke 16:10 declares, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. Let's align vehicle to purpose with a quick play. If speed and privacy are critical this quarter, seed a donor advised fund, then recommend grants weekly to frontline partners. If your brand must carry programs, STEM Saturdays, veterans upskilling, arts therapy, run it through a corporate foundation with program directors and MOUs. If you want to build wealth that works while you sleep, form an impact SPV to lend to social enterprises with measurable outcomes, interest, and repayments flow back as new seed. If you burn to educate, endow scholarships with criteria that lift your 7 spheres, STEM, trades, nursing, teaching, governance. If your heart is for the block, Fund a community trust with local stewards and tie payouts to neighborhood metrics, graduation rates, small business starts, clinic access. Choose by the harvest you seek and the laws that protect it. Now, posture. Stewardship is worship. When you balance a ledger with clean hands and a pure heart, you are saying, you can trust me with more. Daniel had an excellent spirit and rose above presidents and princes. Daniel 6:3. Excellence is evangelism to the boardroom. When bankers see your audited impact, when mayors read your policies, when partners experience your integrity, they say, use my name. That's Luke 6, 38 inches of suit and tie. Write this down, please. Put your hand on your head. Lord, give me governance, wisdom. Put your hand on your heart. Give me purity and policy. Open your hands. Give me vehicles that carry vision without scandal. I bless your structures. May your donor advised funds move like rivers in famine. May your foundation stand like walls against accusation. May your impact SPVs multiply like Isaac's fields. May your scholarships unlock destinies and your community trust knit neighborhoods into families. May your conflict of interest policy protect your name, your due diligence, reveal both gold and fool's gold, your gift acceptance guard your mission. May your mercy budget be holy, your marketing be honest, your orders be clean, your impact undeniable. Structure your generosity so it can scale without scandal. Say it again. Structure your generosity so it can scale without scandal. Now clap right there, because order has met overflow, and the system you build will carry your seed into your children's children. Legacy now. Everybody say children's children. Say it again. Proverbs 13:22 declares, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Not just kids, grandkids. That is a 3-generation measure. Write this down, please. If you measure your life in 1 generation, you will misprice your life. We are not living for applause at the funeral. We are designing harvests your grandchildren can spend. Legacy is generosity institutionalized, not random acts of kindness, institutions of kindness. Structures that outlive your breath and carry your name with integrity. When most people talk about legacy, they normally think about wills and money. I don't. Money is too fragile for 3 generations. A good name is sturdier. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Write this down, please. You don't pass down cash, you pass down culture. Money without culture is a fire in foolish hands. Everybody say culture. Say it again. That culture has to be encoded in assets, practices, and people who know what to do with both. So let me define it for you. Legacy is a portfolio of covenant assets governed by a family culture that compels righteous performance long after you're gone. Convert today's giving into tomorrow's assets. Write this down, please. Endow chairs. Own land for community use. Fund ideas that become institutions. Chairs? Yes. Endow a scholarship chair at a local university in the very field that multiplies your family's grace. Urban entrepreneurship, agricultural innovation, biblical economics, trauma-informed counseling, trades instruction. Tie the endowment to a covenant. Every scholar receives a mentor from your family, completes 2 paid internships with your partners, and joins a lifelong alumni circle. Why? Because we don't fund paper, we fund pipelines. Relationships, reputation, and referrals baked into the legacy. Clap right there. Land. We bought real estate, not for us, but for their children's children. Don't buy memories, buy mission. Land for a community garden, a shared commercial kitchen, a trades training yard, a child care hub for single parents who work night shifts. Put the deed in a mission trust and lease it for $1 a year to credible partners with performance covenants, hours open, people served, standards kept. Don't donate your future away. Direct it with conditions that reflect your values. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant. Wealth is covenant power in physical form. Write this down, please. Your deeds should preach when your voice is silent. Institutions fund ideas that become centers and systems. A reading lab network in 3 schools with data targets. A makers guild that certifies teenagers for OSHA and places them with your 5 partner firms. a micro-lending circle administered by a local church with underwriting education attached. Put governance around it, minutes, metrics, mandates. You see, when generosity becomes an institution, your obituary becomes community wealth. People will say, when she died, these 4 things did not. That's your testimony, speaking in brick, scholarship, and appointment letters. You are never remembered for what you saved. You are remembered for what you gave. Write this down, please. Community wealth is your obituary. Now, education pipelines. Don't just pay tuition. Build trajectories. Our scholarships must carry 3 chords: scholarship, mentorship, internship. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, a 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. For every student you fund, assign a mentor trained in your family's values charter. Require quarterly check-ins with written reflections on character, craft, and community service. Secure summer internships with your allies in 7 spheres: spiritual institutions, education, health, enterprise, media, arts, government, justice, and community development. Everybody say placements. Say it again. Then lock in referrals. When they graduate, your alumni network is the first recruiter. That's how your name compounds across decades. Luke 6:38. Shall men give into your bosom? Men with keys to jobs, labs, studios, and courts. We are engineering the giving of men through relational architecture. Let's talk family governance, because legacy leaks without containers. Write this down, please. A values charter, a giving council, and an annual vision retreat. The values charter is your constitution. 5 to 7 non-negotiables: honesty, diligence, stewardship, hospitality, excellence, and faith. Grounded in Scripture, Psalm 112:1-3. Blessed is the man who fears the Lord. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness endures. Include daily disciplines: prayer, reading, health, stewardship, and relationship hygiene. Teach your sons and daughters to multiply the name, not just the accounts. The Giving Council is your family's board. Quarterly meeting. Review the generosity dashboard. Approve allocations to scholarships, land projects, and institutional funds. Hear reports from younger members. They must learn to present, defend, and steward. Train the next treasurer at age 16. The annual vision retreat is your covenant renewal. 3 days. Pray, review testimonies, prune and prioritize. Visit a site your family funds. Let the children touch the harvest their name is responsible for. Psalm 78:4 says, we will not hide them from their children, telling to the generation to come the praises of the Lord. Ritualize remembrance. It cements identity. Everybody say name. Say it again. Your last name is a key. Keys are not decorations. They are responsibilities. If everything dies with you, you were a rich accumulator, not a wealthy steward. Write this down, please. Stewards multiply what they inherit. Accumulators mummify it. We rebuke mummification in Jesus' name. Bury the body, not the mission. I want your grandchildren to cash checks signed by covenants you wrote. Sit in seats you endowed. Pray in chapels you built. And intern in companies you discipled into existence. That is what children's children means in practice. Let me get very practical. Build a legacy ledger with fields you can count across decades. Acres under covenant use. Seats endowed and students matriculated. Apprentices placed and wages earned. Alumni promoted to leadership roles. Facilities open hours per week. Community partnerships active with MOUs. Referrals generated through your network. Reputation indicators awards, not for vanity, but for verification. And here's a spiritual KPI. Prayers answered in the next generation because of altars you built today. Abraham dug wells. Isaac found water at those same sites. Track it. God respects continuity. Some of you are thinking, Doc, I started late. No, you start now. God redeems the time. Joel 2:25, I will restore to you the years. Start with 1 asset you can institutionalize this year. 1 chair, 1 acre, 1 apprenticeship cohort named after grandmother. 1 charter signed at the kitchen table. 1 endowment seed with a disciplined monthly deposit. Tell your neighbor, start with 1. Say it again. 1 becomes a model. Models multiply. And let me bless your real estate strategy, because some of you will fund the land that funds the legacy. I declare parcels in strategic corridors, favor with zoning boards, architects who carry your values, and tenants who multiply your mission. May your leases disciple your city. May your rent rolls read like a prayer list answered. May your properties be engines of peace. Isaiah 32-18. My people will dwell in a peaceful habitation, in secure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. May poverty never live in your house again. Put your right hand on your head. Lord, give us wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and divine ideas that outlive us. Put your hand on your heart. Give us courage to institutionalize compassion. Open both hands. Give us land, letters, and leaders who steward the name well. I commission you now as generational stewards. Build chairs, buy mission land, fund institutions, train your sons and daughters to govern a name that opens doors, schedule the council, sign the charter, walk the property, shake the graduate's hand. Legacy is generosity institutionalized. Everybody say children's children. Say it again. Now clap right there, because your harvest just stepped into a century and your name just became a covenant. Everybody stand all over this house. Put your hand on your head. Say this out loud with authority. This is the end of poverty of ideas in my house. Say it again. One more time like you mean it. In the beginning was the Word, the Logos, the expressed idea. And the Word became flesh. John 1:14. Write this down, please. Ideas must become products, policies, programs, and places. Deuteronomy 8:18 says he gives you power to get wealth. Power is capacity. Capacity is ideas organized. Everybody say ideas. Say it again. Now hands over your heart. Let's repent and reorient. Lord Jesus, forgive us for pursuing money and things. We have chased coins and ignored concepts. We have begged for harvest and neglected seed. Tonight we switch allegiance from mammon to wisdom. James 1:5 says, if any lacks wisdom, ask. So we ask, give us wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and divine ideas. Give us pictures in the night, patterns in the day, partnerships at the gate. Like Solomon, we ask for an understanding heart to govern, not for riches. And you promise that wisdom brings everything else with her. 1 Kings 3, Proverbs 3:16. Write this down, please. Stop asking for money. Ask for management, because money looks for managers. Clap right there, somebody. Now declare with me. We will give strategically and reap predictably. We will map our sowing to systems and measure our harvests. Luke 6:38. Give, and it shall be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over. That is not random. That is reliable. Galatians 6:7 says, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. So we will sow into relationships, and we will reap introductions. We will sow into reputation, and we will reap trust. We will sow into referrals, and we will reap access. We will sow into innovation, and we will reap prototypes. We will sow into arms, and we will reap credibility. Money cannot buy. Write this down, please. Intention determines direction. Measurement determines multiplication. Everybody say dashboard. Say it again. We will track the seed, the soil, the season, and the supply, introductions created, reputational lift, referral velocity, MVPs launched, lives lifted. We will not guess, we will govern. Point to your calendar on your phone or in your mind. A calendar is a covenant. Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, he that observes the wind will not sow. We are not waiting on weather. We are working a plan. We commit to a 1-2 week sprint. Put it in the diary. Monday, 7 a.m., prayer and thesis review. Tuesday, lunches for relationships. Thursday, standards for reputation. Friday, referral calls. Day 21, pilot check-in. Week 8, arms distribution. Week 10, roundtable. Week 12, pruning and publication. Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision plain. Assign a dashboard owner tonight. Don't leave this room without a name. Write this down, please. What is everyone's job is no one's job. One steward responsible. Many hands accountable. Name your first seeds before you sleep. Who, where, why, how much, and what harvest. We expect in 3090365 days. Genesis 26:12. Isaac sowed in the land and reaped 100-fold in the same year. Same year. Everybody say same year. Say it again. Lift your eyes. I'm going to bless you. May poverty never live in your house again. May the spirit of lack be evicted permanently and the spirit of wisdom take up residence. May doors open you did not knock on because your name arrived before you. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen above great riches. May your name become a key that fits unfamiliar locks. May men and women of peace in every city say, use my name. May your donor-advised funds move like rivers in famine. May your foundation stand like walls against accusation. May your impact SPVs multiply like Isaac's fields. May your scholarships locate hidden brilliance. May your community trust turn blocks into neighborhoods and neighborhoods into families. May your conflict of interest policy protect your reputation, your due diligence expose fool's gold, your gift acceptance keep your mission holy. May your ideas become flesh designs, on paper become facilities, briefs become programs, prototypes become products. And may the 7 spheres of your wealth, spiritual, soul, physical, social, influence, community, and generational, rise together and hold each other up like a strong house built on the rock. Write this down, please. You are never remembered for what you saved. You are remembered for what you gave. Tell your neighbor, don't look now. There is a giver being born in your seat. Go home tonight and teach this to your sons and daughters. Sit at the table, open the Bible and the budget. Read Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Show them your giving thesis on one page. Let them choose a mercy project with dignity. Let them write 2 thank you notes to men and women of peace. Teach them to pray for ideas, not allowances. Train them to be wealthy in relationships, not just rich in things. Write this down, please. If everything dies with you, you failed. If your children can teach it, you succeeded. Now open both hands. Father, I commission these leaders under a holy deadline. This is not hype. This is governance. Breathe on their calendars. Anoint their dashboards. Assign angels to their introductions. Let wisdom enter their night seasons and understanding their day. Give them grace to prune what does not produce and courage to double what compounds. Let Luke 6:38 be their testimony and 2 Corinthians 9-8 be the atmosphere. God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. May their giving become a strategy, their strategy become a system, their system become an institution, and their institution become a legacy that speaks when they sleep. Everybody say, from prayer to production. Say it again. Pray for ideas. Plant them with generosity. Measure. Multiply. This is the commission. This is the covenant. Put your hand on your head one more time. This is the end of poverty of ideas in my house. Put your hand on your heart. I will give strategically and reap predictably. Open your hands. I will schedule my sowing and steward my harvest. I bless you now. May introductions flow like rivers. May your reputation be chosen above riches. May referrals outrun your ads. May pilots become products. May arms protect your name. May your round table become a council of favor. And may your pruning bring more fruit. Now clap right there. Because the revelation has been sealed with action, and what you start tonight will feed your children's children. Go in peace, go with a plan, and go produce.